Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Prodigy. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, aka Caliban, and after Time Amok, I can't wait for future Prodigy episodes, The Dark and the Devil, Seven Galileos, and Armageddon Taste You. Joining me on the show, as usual, is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Discoverage.
Thank you.
How have you been?
Not too bad. Finished the second season of Netflix's Cheer documentary series today.
Yeah.
So big day.
I remember when the first one came out. I think I watched the first two and then I sort of lost track. But yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, still a big deal, but a big deal at that time. The kind of pressures that these people go through, girls and guys, when they're on these cheer teams.
I would say first season, if you like documentaries, first season is a must watch. Skip the second season.
Okay, not so much.
It's good, it's still good. It's different, and the first season I think had that, when Stranger Things came out, and it's like they're never going to make anything as good as this first season of Stranger Things.
Okay, yeah.
That's the first season of Cheer is like that for a documentary series. It's good.
Yeah. I totally stalled out on Sex Education because the first season was really good, and I started watching the second season, and it's still okay, but you can tell that they are kind of trying to find a new tone for the show, kind of a new way forward, and I got to get back to it still.
I did the same thing with Sex Education, and I just watched all of it not that long ago, only a couple months ago, and I was like, I can't believe that I had never finished this show.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Then I've got something to look forward to. Yeah,
those ones are worth it.
Well, we've got a lot to look forward to as we get to our news right off the bat. The big news is, of course, the huge announcement from Paramount that there is a whole lot of Star Trek coming our way in 2022. We have 25 weeks and 29 episodes of Star Trek leading into the month of July in 2022. And I'm going to go through the whole thing here, so just bear with me. But Discovery will return, of course, for the second half of their Season 4 in February 10th, and it will run until March 3rd. Not until, it will continue to run after that, but then Picard starts. So March 3rd, 10th, and 17th, we'll have both Discovery and Picard as Discovery wraps up and Picard gets going. Then Picard will continue to run throughout the month of April, and will end on it'll actually go through into May. So May 5th, Picard will run in one big block, 10 episodes. That same day, Strange New Worlds will begin its first season and will run until July 7th. So from now until July 7th, constant Star Trek. It was also announced that Discovery has been renewed for Season 5. It'll be 10 episodes in its fifth season. No release date announced as of now. Picard has also been renewed for Season 3 with a tentative 2023 release date. Strange New Worlds has been renewed for Season 2 and will also release tentatively in 2023. And Lower Decks has been renewed as well for a fourth season, probably to also return in 2023. So that's... everybody got everything they wanted. Everybody got a re-up. Everybody's episodes are coming out looking good. As far as the rest of 2022, it's a little murkier. We do know that there are, of course, 10 more episodes in Lower Deck Season 3 to come out sometime in 2022. And, of course, the second half of Prodigy's first season, 10 episodes in 2022. So, Lower Decks season, I did the math. Lower Deck Season 2 ended on October 14th. Then 2 weeks later, we started watching Prodigy on the 28th of October. So it's been 12 weeks since that week. So this week is 13. We're at 13 weeks of Trek. So we're looking at 25 more weeks until early July. That's 38 weeks of Trek. And with 10 more Lower Decks episodes and 10 Prodigy to come, that's 58 weeks of Trek. It's just 52 weeks a year now. And sometimes Trek twice a week. So forget 23 weeks of Trek. That's old news. The new news is 52 weeks of Trek.
And so we're living in the sacred timeline, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. So we did something right because it's just all Trek all the time. And I read something interesting in an article that was announcing or talking about this. The idea that it looks like 10 is the basic order here. Discovery will be 10 episodes instead of 13 or more for its fifth season. So it seems like part of the Netflix deal was doing more than 10 episodes. And Paramount is saying, no, we want to do these in 10 episode blocks going forward.
I don't know if if I'd prefer them to lean the, what was it? TNG had like 26 episodes a season.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
yeah.
prefer them leaning that way
Those days are
or
gone.
having a tight 10 episode. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know which is better though.
I mean, if you're doing, I don't even know if like SWAT or NCIS does that many episodes anymore. But yeah, those days have passed us by. I think it's clean. I think part of the having as many shows on as they want to have, and having more than 10 episodes has led to, I think, some of this traffic jam that we've seen. Also, of course, Nickelodeon wants 20 episodes out of Prodigy, and so we're seeing some of this overlap, and it hasn't been too big of a problem. That first part of March, wow, it's just going to be 2 hours of Trek every Thursday. I don't know why they wouldn't consider like another night. Like, why not go 2 nights?
Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays or something.
Something like
That'd
that.
be
Yeah,
fun.
Mondays and Thursdays, something like that. Yeah. Of course, it's all streaming. You can watch it whenever you want, but just trying not to step on your label mates' SEO or your activity on Twitter or social media. But yeah, they have got quite a lot of Trek laid out, and that's just leading up to July, and who knows what we'll hear after that.
I wonder if they just want like Thursday nights. I wonder if they just want that to be Star Trek night. Like,
Yeah, it seems that way.
I wonder if I wonder if some people are going to watch, what did you say? It's Picard and Disco. They're going to air on the same night.
Yes.
I wonder if some people will prioritize one over the other, and then they'll have still everyone coming to
Yeah.
Paramount. I don't know. I wonder what the advantage is. It's interesting.
Yeah, and we were talking about like the old dead ways of programming TV, but on May 5th
Yeah.
we've got the finale of Picard and then the premiere of Strange New World. So normally that would be a lead-in, right? You'd run Picard first, everybody shows up to see the finale, and then they're going to watch Strange New Worlds. But that's not an issue at all because you can watch them. You can watch 1 minute of one and then switch to the other and watch a minute. You can do it that way if you want.
I'll tell you what, the night that Strange New Worlds premieres, I almost don't want to have a show because I think I'm going to be absolutely beside myself.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if we can make it
But it's
through
okay.
February, March, and April up to
Yeah,
May.
well, yeah.
But we will have to do what we can to try to make that happen. So yeah, that's.
Do you ever get the feeling that you're in a coma and your brain is like just Star Trek every week all year, and you're like, oh, great, okay, yeah.
Is this a Zoomer thing or something? Yeah. No, I don't think I. Maybe I should start thinking whether I'm in a coma.
Wait, you've never had that thought?
Yeah, I'm in a Trek coma, or I will be in a Trek coma.
You're never like, I'm running the simulation. The simulation is Star Trek once a week all year.
Yeah, absolutely. Although if I was in a simulation, then I'd just be watching the Max Gradentick series where he's just ramming it up.
Let me ask you. Can I ask you an off-topic question following up that one?
Sure.
How many seagulls would have to be in your room before you thought there was something suspicious going on?
It wouldn't take many. If obviously a bird in my room, something's not exactly right, but I suppose if there was 2 of them or maybe 3 and they were conspiring, then that would certainly seem suspicious.
Interesting. Okay, I've been fighting with my friend about it this week because I asked her and she was like 0.
Okay.
Like if there was 1, and I was like, there would need to be 7 or more seagulls in my room for me to be suspicious and not just think I had left a window open and they found,
Yeah. If I lived on the coast, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 would be fine. But if I hear any squawking coming from your end, I know what's going on. Well, we've just seen the 8th episode of the first season of Star Trek Prodigy. It's an episode called Time Amok, and we're here to talk all about it. But first, as always, we're setting a course for the spoiler zone, listeners. So be warned, we're glad you've decided to join us. But if you haven't seen the episode, spoilers are incoming. The official synopsis for Time Amok is, when the USS Protostar is fractured in time by an anomaly, hologram Janeway must synchronize the disjointed crew and save their ship before it destructs. This episode was written by Nikhil S. Jairam, and it was directed by Olga Ulanov and Sung Shin. The in-universe date, we have a star date, actually, for this episode. It is 607125.6, and this is the first episode of the series to give a star date within the narrative of the episode. We had one in a flashback earlier on, but this is the actual star date. But that is kind of a high number, considering that a recent 32nd Century episode of Disco had a star date of 865661.2. So it seems like the flow of time has affected the ship's computer and its chronometer. So here's some facts about the episode. We have one interesting fact. Of course, the episode features the famous chicken wolf grain or rice puzzle, putting them all in a boat. And the oldest known example of that was found in Propositions ad Aquendos Juvenis, which was a recreational mathematics Latin manuscript from the Middle Ages. So it's a long problem. I don't know if you've ever run into that. It's a logic problem that they sometimes put in front of people.
I have, and my gut instinct was, I was like, oh, you didn't tell me that I was allowed to. What do you mean? I felt cheated.
Yeah.
It's they did not grow up on Vulcan.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Vulcan would have had that down, no problem. My solution would be get a bigger boat, but it's nice. Kind of like rock, paper, scissors with a boat. But the crew
Rock, talk, paper, scissors.
Rock, talk, paper, scissors. Oh, that's the title of this episode for sure. What'd you think about the episode, Time Amok, or Amok, depending on how you want to pronounce it?
It was good. I think they could have been a little bit more, for lack of a better term, silly goofy with the playing with the time differences.
Mm-hmm.
Went a little dark. How long was Rock Tuck alone? We can't be certain.
I know.
How much did she Tony Stark the quantum science versus actually having to teach herself quantum science?
Yeah.
On shore. But yeah, not bad. I don't think it didn't impress me as much as the past couple episodes have, but still enjoyed myself.
Yeah, dark is something we seem to say every week, and it isn't just. I was thinking like, oh, Rock Talk should not be in this situation, but then I was thinking they're all children. None of them should be in this situation. And,
isn't she the youngest though? Because I was googling.
She is the youngest.
I was like googling her age, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, isn't she like little?
Yeah. But each one of them is juvenile, and they all explode at some point in the episode, which was a little disconcerting. But hey, it's a sci-fi show, I guess. It also seems.
What do you think?
Well, I'm wondering if this is a bug or a feature now, a trend or something that we should expect from a children's Nickelodeon Star Trek show. But there seems to be a specific lesson that is learned every week, and I suppose that's true in a macro sense on any Star Trek show, having some kind of didactic lesson, but it seems to be very specific. So one week, Dahl is thinking, he's the master of video games and he's going to take care of this simulation, no problem. Then he learns important lessons about being a captain. And like this week, the lesson is kind of about, perseverance and about, sticking with something. And also having the freedom, to choose what you want to do and not have somebody tell you what to do. And I think that's, I think it's good. I just think often it's, on an adult Star Trek show, it's a little more subtextual. And in this show, it's basically just, in neon lights. But that's fine. It's a show for children.
Yeah, I think that it's doing the kids show thing where, they're hammering the point home a bit. I do think that they're not going, I guess I haven't thought that they're going overboard with it. Like, I know, have you seen Steven Universe?
No, and I keep, no, I haven't. There's the short answer. Long answer, I keep thinking I should watch some Steven Universe to get an idea of what, like, modern Nickelodeon shows are like. Because I just think of, like, Cat and Dog or Ren and Stimpy or something like that. But, yeah.
Oh, well, how can you improve on Cat Dog?
Well, that's true.
Or something like Avatar. But, sorry, I lost track of my thought because I was wondering if I don't know if you could hear the sirens, but I was wondering if they were going to stop in my building.
It's animal control coming for the seagulls. Steven Universe.
Oh, they, not to, put Steven Universe on blast, but and I don't remember how many seasons they had, but their first few seasons are really genuinely amazing television. I respect people who watch cartoons, who tend to watch more shows that are aimed at kids or whatever. I don't want to like talk down on it, but I'm not a person. I don't watch very many cartoons at all, and I don't really make a habit of like watching Cartoon Network shows, something like that.
Yeah.
But those first couple of seasons are like really just honestly amazing television. And the last couple of seasons, I felt like every single week was like, and today we learned that teamwork is important because when you're all alone, this happens. But it was like there would be dialogue at the end of the episode that was like the characters explaining the lesson we learned to each other.
Sure. Yeah.
And with peace and love, this is not Sesame Street. And so I think my point is that I think they're avoiding that on Prodigy so far. We're definitely seeing them learn a new lesson every week, but I don't feel like they've gone quite over the top with it yet. Although I do think everyone can always look up to Avatar: The Last Airbender as an example of what like a perfect animated children's show is.
Yeah. Looks like the real universe was Steven all along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're definitely hitting those sort of lessons, but I think it's still kind of couched in a Trek milieu. Like otherwise, how could you have, it's every single crew member is in their own sort of locale or their own time, and they're kind of all contributing to this project that then is realized by Rock Talk at the end. That's definitely like a sci-fi thing. It's such a sci-fi thing that I noticed that this premise is very similar to a Farscape episode called Through the Looking Glass, when the living ship Moya tries to go into Starburst, her version of Warp, and the ship is split into 3 different ships where the crew members are isolated in each ship, and they all have to work together in order to resolve the problem. And I was like, okay, I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention, Prodigy. I see what you're doing. Steal from the best.
I can't say that I've ever seen the show, so everything you just said to me, it was as if you spoke a different language.
Somebody out there knows what I'm talking about.
The rest of the nerds understood everything.
It's all worth it. I like the fact that they call Janeway holographic Janeway in official materials. So like that is her official title, not like Janeway 2 or Holo J or something. She's holographic Janeway. Also, the 3D printed Dreadnought that we see is credited as Dread 2 in the credits. So if he continues to be around, we've got a Dread 2 now.
Yeah, because can a robot suffocate in outer space?
I wouldn't think so. If he's a fully a robot, no. If he's
Truly
a General
a
Grievous, then maybe he can.
But a robot, I mean, you could shoot. Not all robots are, made for space travel. If I shot my MacBook into space, I don't think it could handle it. You know what I mean?
Well, supposedly, supposedly, Elon Musk's Tesla was playing Space Oddity, on its way to Mars, and it's supposed to keep working until the lithium battery runs out or explodes. So some electronics will work in space.
I don't know if I believe that clown.
Yeah, I don't believe really anything that guy says, but. I don't know. It's a spacefaring culture. I mean, you'd be a pretty useless robot if you couldn't do space stuff in this universe.
This is true.
Yeah, they need to get. I really like that idea of we need to get this ship back, but of course it's the fastest ship in the universe, and so this is a real problem. But we aren't necessarily limited with our signal speed, and so they, hack into the vehicle replicator to like make their own sort of drone to take care of their problem. I thought that was a kind of cool application of sci-fi tech. Although the Protostar needs McAfee for that to like block incoming requests and transmissions.
Were you surprised when holographic Janeway was like, "You mean you stole this ship?" I was like, yeah, bestie, there's a bunch of 10-year-olds on your bridge.
She got over that pretty fast.
Yeah.
I also liked, I almost feel like this is like a dramatized version of one of those YouTube videos. I don't know I think it's Wired, where like a physicist explains a concept at 5 levels. Have you seen these?
No, but I need to.
So they'll start off with, they'll take Dr. Michio or something, some kind of physicist, and he'll be explaining the concept of gravity. And he'll be talking to like an 8-year-old, and he'll be saying, the idea of gravity is this. Then he'll be talking to a high school student, then like a graduate student, then like another professor. And every time they're talking about the same idea, but they're talking about it, with more context and more information. And that's kind of like, I thought that was very similar to what happens when Janeway has to like really slow down and go, okay, Rok-Tahk, listen. Here's the problem. Everybody is in different places, and so we have to do this and this. And then she gets shifted to where the Medusan is, and she's like, okay, so we're going to do this cyber quantum holographic thing.
Yeah.
We're going to do all this. She had to sort of be a different sort of leader for each one of those crew members. And of course, if you need a captain to do that, it's Janeway. She's the perfect hologram for that job. But I like the fact that she had to kind of, not code switch necessarily, but sort of find the right level to connect to each one of these crew to get them to do this thing.
Yeah, that was awesome, especially after being with Rok-Tahk, who like is so young and then was so like easily overwhelmed. Then to watch her like jump between ships. Yeah, very interesting.
And also, so Rok-Tahk, again, it's horrible, but I guess spends quite a lot of time alone. And in the meantime, does some skill share. And she develops all these new skills. So I wonder if I hope that continues. I hope that we see going forward that she's, something of a savant and it becomes more of a science and engineer type person. Because it always felt weird to just have the big rock person. Oh, you're security. Of course you are.
I'm not security.
When you've got like a liquid sword, you'd be security.
Oh, honestly, clap back.
Yeah.
I bet she will. Because I bet that she'll just start to learn more. I mean, maybe she'll have to teach the crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be
Not like any of them have had a lot of time to learn. What was it? Quantum mechanics. What she learned? She created the PIM particle.
Yeah, right. She shrunk the ship down and it went back in time. I also like how I kind of feel like the stereotype of a captain, mostly in Star Trek, but also in like other stuff, is like, look, I don't need to know everything. Like, I've got you to know this. I've got this person to know this. And I run this group. I'm the facilitator. But that's not always really true. Like, we see almost every captain on every Star Trek show is like very good at a bunch of different things. Janeway is something of a scientist herself, and Picard is a scientist and historian and a diplomat. And so these people didn't get here by just being a manager and then being promoted to a captain is the top manager. They're
project
the person,
manager.
Yeah, right. They have those skills, but they are somebody who has already distinguished themselves in a field. Mm-hmm. And Dahl doesn't have that just yet. Dahl is kind of the lubricant that sort of like keeps the whole group together.
I don't know. It sounds like he might have a pretty high score in Snake. So I would watch. I would watch how you speak.
I would have shut it off immediately if the secret was like, wait a minute, he's fixing the thing. This is just like Snake. I know this. Yeah, we avoided that, thankfully. I loved when, I suppose it's them all dying, but maybe they're just getting sucked into a time vortex. When they all get, their time period or whatever blows up or destabilizes, and we get kind of like Prodigy's version of the big heads from Star Trek 4.
Yep. Yeah.
That had to be a reference. I thought that was really neat.
Super funny.
We're sort of following a line of continuity between their
mm-hmm.
5 time frames.
I was a little stressed because I was like, where are we? The ship's kind of blowing up here. So where are we going?
Yeah. Are they in space now, or they're just in time? They're just waiting to come back.
Just vibing.
There was a direct reference to Apollo 13, excuse me, which I found was interesting. And it made me think of, excuse me, have you seen the Apple series, For All Mankind?
No. Is it good? Should I?
I don't know yet. I'll let you know. But it was created and partially written by Ronald D. Moore, and there's a couple other Star Trek people who have been on it and a part of it as well. And it's the pitch is it's an alternate universe where Russia made it to the moon before America did.
Ooh.
And so I just started watching it. I'm not very far into it, and I've much like one of the astronauts in the show, my finger is hovering over the abort button because I don't yet know what it wants to say. It's set in the late 60s, early 70s, when the whole moon race was happening. And it seems to be, it's bringing up all these like Cold War tensions. It's bringing up, sexism and racism in the workplace. And I'm like, what do you want to say about this show? Like a show like Mad Men could present that, have characters' lives be relatively unchanged, and we see the injustices happen, but it's still, commenting on the pain that they caused. And I'm not exactly sure what its raison d'etre is yet, like what the show believes. Is it like, it feels really jingoistic. I feel like they're going to criticize like the sort of Cold War and the idea of leveraging science and exploration, for political points. Mm-hmm. But I don't know yet. But like I said, I'm not very far. So that's my recommendation.
Interesting. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's on Apple Plus for all mankind. What else? That's pretty much all I can think of. I got real scared when Janeway got erased, but
yeah, that was concerning.
But they had a backup. Always have a backup, so that was fine.
External hard drive.
Yeah, but like with Dreadnought's gonna get away from her, you bitch. He's gonna erase her. And of course,
how long are we going to have to wait until we see Chakotay?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Will we ever?
I don't know.
They need to unlock Janeway's mind so she can have a flashback in the holodeck.
Yeah, I mean, that's rule number one of like mystery ship. There's definitely like locked files in the database that you got to get into. But maybe we'll get a whole episode where we are ostensibly watching, Hollows, but we just watch like an episode of Chakotay and crew doing things.
That sounds great.
I'd want to see it.
Yeah, I want just like a smidge more context. I don't even need to know the whole thing. Don't give me the answers yet. Just like a smidge.
Yeah, give us a little breadcrumbs, little
Easter eggs taste
every week, so we can keep us from coming back for more. But of course, we'll be here anyway. Anything else that you wanted to say about Time Amok?
I feel like
people say Amok Time. I feel, but like
Amok.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit when people talk about the TOS episode. But Time Amok doesn't sound right.
I don't know about that one.
So Time Amok. Well, I think that is it for our show this week, and thanks for joining us, listeners. If you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPod to get updates and to get notified when new episodes of both Enterprising Individuals and Discoverage are coming out. You can tweet to us on this show by using the hashtag Discoverage, or you can email us at eistpod@gmail.com. And while you're on the internet, why not head to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to our show feed. Give us a rating and a review because it really helps us out. And if you want to help the show grow, stop by our Patreon at patreon.com/EISTPOD. And as always, if you like the show, go ahead and tell a friend. Discoverage will return on January 27th for the 9th episode of Star Trek Prodigy's first season. That will be week 14 of the however many weeks of Trek it is. We don't know anything about the episode yet, but we will be here on Thursday to cover it. We'll be going live once again at 8 p.m. Central, so join us then. Follow us on Twitter or Facebook at EISTPod to get notified when we are live and broadcasting. In the meantime, check out our main show, Enterprising Individuals, at enterprisingindividuals.com. Every Wednesday on the show, I and a special guest discuss in excruciating detail a selected episode from a Star Trek series. We also have news from the Trek sphere and interviews with special guests. And the show is currently on holiday hiatus, but you can access all 6 seasons of our episodes at enterprisingindividuals.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Ella, thanks as always for joining me to talk about tonight's episode of Prodigy and remind people where they can find you online.
Thank you. My home podcast is called Generations Geek. I do it with my dad, and we both were just on Russ's Rock and Roller Coaster, his podcast, so you can find that on YouTube. And then we also did a live Zoom session 0 of the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game, which was super, super fun. And I got to make a character using their character generator on the show. And even if you never intend to ever play Star Trek Adventures, I really recommend that you go play with the character generator because it is a lot of fun.
Nice. I assume you can find that on Modifius's site.
Yeah, I believe so. It should be. Otherwise,
Okay.
we live streamed to Facebook, so I know it's there. Yeah,
Sure,
that
sure.
one you'll have to Google. I should have done my own research on my own
So, but yeah,
shows before.
check that out,
Yeah.
Generations Geek, on generationsgeek.com and on Facebook. And that is it for us. Thanks for listening. We are signing off. This is Aaron for Ella saying live long and prosper.